Hello, 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 ladies. This podcast is designed exclusively for you. This is Her Talk Show, where we dive into inspiring thoughts, ideas, and stories, all with one purpose to empower and uplift women like you. I'm Sabrina Victoria, your host and guide on this journey of self discovery and growth. I invite you to hit that subscribe button. Follow, like, and share. Together, we are creating a vibrant community of empowered women. Get ready to unleash your brilliance. Her Talk Show starts now.
We come to you every day with the best speakers, relationship coaches, spiritual mentors, trailblazers, business owners, authors, young hustlers, podcasters, entrepreneurs, fitness trainers, therapists, financial advisors, and more. We ask our guests one question. What do you know that I don't know? Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Say for this episode of Her Talk Show, we have had over 500 women grace this stage, and we are adding another one to the list today. If you're listening live, welcome. And if you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay so we can send you some love in the comments. Either way, if you are watching us, please share this video so we can get more eyes and more ears on the awesome content that we are about to share today. Today, we are talking to an amazing woman, Valincia Bennett. She is a business coach and strategist for coaches. She empowers coaches in business for 1 to 5 years to simplify their systems and strategies so it's easy to achieve consistent 10,000 plus months. She also achieved financial freedom by the age of 30 and is ready to share her wisdom with others. Welcome, Valencia.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, same. I am so excited to jump in with you on this because, I mean, you know probably better than all of us. You know, us women, we're a business, we're in the business, right? We're entrepreneurs, we're doing our thing, but we have some blocks sometimes right around the subject of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're bringing to us financial freedom is achievable. Mm-hmm. When did you figure this out?
You know what? It kind of happened unexpectedly. It was interesting. I was going through this transition from corporate to full-time entrepreneurship, and it was during the pandemic. And I was like, honey, I heard a small, still voice come to me and said December 31st, 2020 was my last day, because I've been waiting to know when it was time for me to move from my corporate career into entrepreneurship full-time. And so I went to him. I was like, hey, I'm done at the end of this year. So we got to figure out what's going to happen. And at the time, we just started looking at our finances and we were shocked. Like we've always just really focused on our goals, but we were so goal driven that we didn't really stop and analyze our whole financial portfolio. And when we saw it, we was like, did we just do this? So at that time I was 30 and I realized we accomplished financial freedom. And I know some people are like, how did you not know that? Honestly, I was just so invested in working all the time and accomplishing those goals. It was nice to finally sit down and really look at the whole picture. And that's when we realized, like, okay, what we've been doing has worked and we continue to do it today.
Wow. How long did you take your eye off of the savings account or wherever it was for that to actually happen? Because sometimes we don't have patience and we go in and we check on things, every other day. What was your strategy for not knowing?
We just knew how much we wanted to save every month. And so that was our thing. Like we would put it into a savings account. We didn't even see the savings account. We just sent it over there. And so it was to the point where we were automatically sending money to investment accounts. We're automatically sending money to savings account. And so we didn't look at it because we were just more focused on meeting that, like just putting it in there. And so we would check here and there. But I think it really hit me when I was like, I don't have to work if I don't want to. that is when it really hit me to be like, you've accomplished financial freedom. Because we looked at our expenses and we had minimal debt. And I'm like, yeah, if I wanted to, I don't have to work. But us women, it's not in me. I have to work. So I enjoy it. I enjoy working with people. And so it was me realizing that moment that I can create whatever life I want. And that to me is true freedom. When you realize like you can do whatever it is that you want moving forward. So that's how it happened for me.
I love that. I know you talk a lot about monetizing and how pretty much everything in our life can be monetized.
Absolutely.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah. So what really, it was a mindset shift that happened for me because when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do business wise, I was so lost. I didn't know what to do. And it just hit me. And I just started literally, I sat down in my living room and I just started looking around. And I was like, okay, people that come in and paint the wall, they get paid to paint. People that come and clean, they get paid to clean. I go in the kitchen and cook every day. People do meal prep, they cook, they get paid. My mom and I had a catering business when I was like 16 years old. So I know that could be monetized. And so it extended my mind and options to be like, we don't have to live in this box that people try to put us in. Like, oh, you went to school for this. This is all you need to do. Like, no, any and everything that you do on a day to day can be monetized. Like, literally, Uber monetized using people's car, making people use their own cars. Like, Uber doesn't even own the vehicles, they have other people using the vehicles to make money. And so once you realize that, you start to think, okay, well, what is it that I can do that I will enjoy doing and start monetizing that? And once you learn about marketing and positioning and what your clients want, it becomes a lot easier to start monetizing anything, really.
So, how did you recognizing that pretty much everything could be monetized specifically help you?
So I knew that I wanted to help coaches. And the cool thing about coaches is that any type of skill set that they have can be monetized. They can teach others how to do it. So I work with very unique coaches. I work with a real estate coach. I work with a cybersecurity coach. I work with a fundraising coach. I work with a fun stuff coach. So anything that people enjoy doing, you can teach them how to do it and make money by just teaching them how to do it. And so that is what really opened that thought process to me is you can truly monetize anything because everybody wants to learn something. And I
Mm,
also learned too, when it comes to coaching, coaching is almost like access that the wealthy had that we didn't know about, right? It's like you always hear about the most well established people, about all the people that they had in their lives that taught them how to get there. Now, coaching is making it accessible for everyone.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, when you decided to choose coaching,
Mhm.
what was the vision that you had for them?
Just impacting lives, changing the world, one client at a time, helping them do that, but also being monetized. Because I realized coaches, we lead from our heart because people want to help,
Mhm.
but then also still being able to help them accomplish financial freedom by helping others. I've met so many people that feel like they can't help other people because it doesn't allow them to make money. So they try to do something completely different. But there is a way to do it. It's just all about how you approach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that you went from corporate to entrepreneurship. Was that a tough transition for you, or was that a pretty easy flow for you?
I wish it was all rainbows and fairy tales and all of that, but no, it was tough. It was very, very tough. Because you have to come out of that employee mindset into the full on business owner mindset. And don't get me wrong, even before I left corporate, my husband and I had side businesses, but coaching was different. It was, I realized, and someone mentioned it to me, they said, because as a coach, you are the product. Outside of that, my husband and I had a real estate business. We had a trucking business. We had what is it, engineering and consulting and project management business. That was different. But to say that you're going to help someone, they have to believe in you fully as a person to invest in you. And so I realized that very quickly how tough that was, because now it's that no like and trust factor. And I am an introvert. Like, I didn't like social media. I didn't want to do any of that. I just wanted to just help people. And so for me to have to get out there and be in front of people and share my story, and yeah, it was tough. It was very tough. I had to get out of my own way and be like, Valencia, you have a lot of knowledge to help people. If you don't share it, how are they going to know? And so that's kind of what I had to do to get out of my own way. And yeah, it was a tough transition from corporate to full-time entrepreneurship, because you're responsible for your schedule. So there's days I just want to lay in the bed. I don't want to get up and do anything. But you have to tell yourself, get up, because if not, you're not going to create the success you want.
Yep.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of different things you have to really manage as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. What are the speaking of financial freedom and the fact that it's achievable for anybody, what are, you mentioned you and your husband set out a plan, and just all of a sudden you turned around a few years later and boom, magic happened. What were the steps? What are some steps that somebody can do? We've got a ton of people here listening live. They're resonating with all of everything they're saying. They're like, ooh, Valencia, financial freedom. Is it really achievable? How? What's some steps, some 1, 2, 3s that you can give us for a jump start?
Yeah. So one of the things that I don't even know if I need to coin this myself, I don't know if it exists, but I call it, we did the no budget method. And what the no budget method is we literally don't follow a budget. Yes, we are aware of our expenses and our revenue, but we focus on our financial goals. So, for instance, the first goal we ever created a financial goal we created for ourselves was to save 100,000. And what we did is we broke that into little pieces. And at the time, we probably had like 25,000 saved. And it was like, okay, we have 75,000 left to make it. And we gave ourselves 12 months. And from there, we looked at our income. We said, okay, this is how much we make. Now let's start putting that money. And so we pay our financial goals first before we pay our bills, and then we pay our financial goals. And then from there, we do whatever we want with the rest of the money. And when we started doing that, that felt so much more freeing to us than to follow a strict budget and be like, okay, this is where all of your every penny is going. And it worked for us. I always tell people, I put out a disclaimer, you have to see if it'll work for you. Everybody's lifestyle is very different. Some people need that additional structure of calculating everything on a spreadsheet or using an app. But for us, it was like the no budget method. So that was one thing. The next is really being clear on what it is that you want to achieve. We knew at some point that we didn't want to have to work for other companies. And so we made sure that whatever we did aligned with it. And then the next thing I would say is, let me see, would be another good step. Stick to the plan. It's so easy to want to do something else. Every problem when you're saving seems like it's the problem you have to fix. And for some reason, money is always the solution. But make it to the point where that money cannot be touched. Don't touch it. Because a lot of people have a problem with putting money into their savings account. It gets to a certain point, and then they're like, oh, I can treat myself now. Like, no, the money in that account is like it was off limits. It's like we didn't even have it. That's why I told you it was hard for us to even realize what we accomplished because we couldn't touch it. We didn't even know. If it's an emergency, we save up for that emergency. We figure something else out to get around it so that so we can continue to prepare for our future. But so many people just focus on the present and allow the present to dictate their life. Oh, and that's another thing. Live for your future self. Don't just live for the now, live for your future self. That is where you're going to be able to achieve that financial freedom.
That's speaking right to my soul.
Mm-hmm.
That I see this so much.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one that you were talking about, pay bills, pay yourself, pay your accounts. What's the order again?
Yeah, so we would pay our bills.
Bills. Okay.
And then we would contribute the finances directly to our financial goal. So whatever that financial goal is for that month or for the year or whatever, it's going straight to there. And then honestly, the rest of the money is we enjoy life.
Extra enjoy life.
Yeah, enjoy life.
That's great. So with the money that individuals are putting towards their goal, are you recommending them to have a separate account, or how did you do that?
Yeah, so for us, if we have investment accounts, right? So we know like we would say, okay, we want to buy 20,000 of Apple stock. So we know that we want to make sure we're putting towards our Apple stock. So that's a separate investment account. For our savings, we want to save 100,000. So it's a separate account that we're putting money into. So it is separate accounts. It's not, of course, your checking account. It is accounts that are separate from that. And you can have your brokerage account. You can choose what company you want to go with. And then also savings account. You can have a completely separate account with a whole different bank, or you can use the same bank if you are disciplined enough.
Totally.
If you're disciplined enough, you can use the same bank and just have it. You can just easily transfer the money into that account. And for people that still work, one of the things that I did too is I just instantly had money going to separate accounts, right? You know, like you can say, I want 20% of my income to go into this account and I want 60% to go here, the other 20 to go there. So you can even control it before it even touches your bank account.
Yes. Yeah. When I was a little backstory, when I was leaving an extremely abusive relationship, one of the things I did was had a automatic withdrawal so that I could save money in a secret account and not look at it, just knowing like, hey, if I save this much, which was barely anything, like comparatively, for this much amount of time, then by the time that date, I'll be able to leave. Like I can escape this place. And that's literally what I did. And it's just dumping in little by little. And then, yeah, the awesome thing that you're talking about as far as the stocks and whatnot is the dollar cost averaging that you get to, what would be that word? Take advantage of.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Who taught you how to do all this?
Honestly, my husband, we had to learn ourselves. We both grew up, I grew up in a single mother household. And I saw my mom, she worked 2-3 jobs. Some days I didn't see her, right? Because she was always working. My husband, his dad worked all the time. And as he got older, it really started to impact his life, meaning his father. And so from a health perspective, and we realized like we didn't want that for our lives. And we knew when we started dating when we were in college. And that's one thing I mentor young girls and I tell them, like, you need to know more like where this guy's mindset is when it comes to money. And so with my husband, boyfriend at the time, now husband, I knew he loved to save money. And that was really important to me because I I was the same way. Like I would work full time while in college, and then on the weekends I was babysitting to save money. And that allowed me to buy my first rental property, I guess you can say, or my first investment property. Literally, I graduated in May and I bought my first property in November when I was in college, from graduating from college. But we just knew we wanted a different life because our parents just worked a long time. His dad will tell us now, I worked 40 something years. I work longer than y'all have birthdays. And we was like, that's beautiful and all, but we didn't want that. And we appreciate our parents. We love them. And we know that that was the way of life that they knew and they were taught. But we felt like this world, we can definitely choose a different path. And that's what we did. And we were intentional about being different. We didn't spend, we saved. We weren't the normal people to just hang out and always go out with friends. No, like I told you, I was in college, I was working full time, and I was doing babysitting gigs on the weekend. So there was those sacrifices that I had to make along the way, and my husband was the same. Like everybody was like, hey, you're going to this frat party? And we're like, no, we're renovating a house. So we just chose to live completely different. Yeah. But now that pays off because we get to do whatever we want now.
Do you think that marrying somebody who has similar viewpoints around money is important?
I do. And I say that because I remember years ago, even before I got married, I would read these articles and it would say the number one reason for divorce is financial issues. Now, is that still true? Honestly, I don't know because I don't look at that stuff anymore. But when I saw that, that made me realize, and literally, it's terrible. It's terrible to say this, but I used to tell my fiance, right? I used to tell him, I say, hey, for us to get married, you have to have a credit score of like 700. And I would say that just jokingly, but it was serious too, because I'm like, I want to make sure that you are taking your finances serious. Because when we come together, we're one. We're one. And so we both came in with minimal debt, high credit scores. Like we came in to set each other up for success. So I know that is very, very important. And can a person improve? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it was just nice being young and knowing what I wanted. And I looked for that when I was looking for my husband.
Yeah. You said that you talk to or mentor young women. Do you have some questions or some things that you tell them to kind of look out for, some conversations that they should be having with their partners? Do you have any advice on that?
Yes. So for the young women, I always tell them, really just ask them about how are the guys with the money? Like, are they saving? Do they save a lot? Do they spend a lot? Just start to ask and learn more about them now and just let them know upfront what it is that you want in a relationship when it comes to your future, because you're living for your future self. And so I always encourage them to have those conversations early on. I had one of my mentees, I love her to pieces, and she was like, oh, me and my boyfriend, we're about to get a joint account together. I said, you better not. No, do not do that. Do not. Joint accounts are for married couples, period. And sometimes you have to assess that. Like my husband and I, we have joint savings accounts, but we have separate checking accounts. That's how we decided to set up our finances. And it could be different for everyone. But that to me is like, you have to be aware of that person's habits, good and bad, and being able to make a smart decision from there on if that's the person you want to spend the rest of your life with.
Absolutely. Great advice. And I certainly hope that the women that you are giving this advice to take that advice. Yes. I do think that it is, one of the things that my parents, I think, were really, really good at was that they were both savers. They both are very adamant at minimal spending. They're both super frugal. And because of that, now I look at them and they're so comfortable.
Mhm.
They're so comfortable. And that's just so nice to see,
Yeah.
that it is possible.
Yeah. I tell you, you want to live the retired life as early as possible.
Yeah.
And that is what true freedom is, right? Like you don't worry about finances. To me, that is what financial freedom is. You're not worrying about finances. You're not worrying about how you're going to pay this next bill, the next thing. You're just able to live.
Yeah.
And that is truly freeing.
Absolutely. Were there any limiting beliefs that you had to kind of come out of, or that you noticed as you started um, looking at money differently?
Um, the first thing I would say, the first limiting belief I had was, well, I guess you would almost think just through to being a woman, race, you just wonder if it's truly possible.
Hmm.
Or like even going through a career, am I going to make 150,000 a year? Am I going to make 200,000 a year? Like, am I ever going to see that type of money in my lifetime?
Hmm.
And so that you're striving for it, but you also have this fight of, is this going to ever be my reality? So I think that was one thing I had. And then two was like options. Like I felt very limited. I felt like you only have a few options. And once I learned that no, my options are limitless, it
Yes.
was a different story. That's why I'm able to say, like, we literally own we have 4 businesses and we're starting another one this year. But it's like you can do whatever you want. Don't
Hmm.
allow anyone to tell you what you cannot do. And don't say that you have to have a million things in place to do it. That's the biggest thing I noticed what happens. I was having a DM conversation with a gentleman the other day, and he was like, I really want to start a business, but I have to get this certification. I have to go back to school for this degree, and I got to get these 2 other certifications, and then I'll be ready. I said, depending on the business that you want to create, you might not need any of that. Like you might not need any of that. You could probably start this business within the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Or he's like, but I got to save up my money and then I'll get it there. No, you can probably start it with nothing. It just depends on what it is. And
Yeah.
so we limit ourselves and say we can't do it. But
Yeah.
there's a way around everything.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Totally agree. So many times I think we get stuck in the process of everything. And I think a lot of that's fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of that's fear. What's the number one lesson you've learned about building businesses?
Keep it simple.
Mm.
I have been coined the queen of simple,
Mm.
just because we definitely try to overcomplicate it. I remember when I first started, I started as a business advising firm. I had 30 different services. I'm like, oh, if anybody come to me, I got them. I'm gonna take care of them. I can do all of this stuff. And I quickly learned how I burned myself out. Like everybody was getting custom proposals. Everything it was just too much.
Mm.
And so keeping it simple. That's why people preach like, really choosing a niche where you want to show up and being able to create a product or offering that your niche is like, please, where can I sign up to get it? And you can do this with one offer, serving one audience, showing up on one platform. And that is what people have to realize. You don't have to do a million things to be successful. You can keep it very simple. It's about consistency in the way that you deliver. If
Yeah.
you are given an exceptional experience, you're delivering exceptional results, and you're consistently showing up and being visible, then you're going to be able to create the success you want.
Absolutely. Who has the entrepreneurial mind, you or your husband? Like who's the creator of all of this?
I wish I could take credit. I wish I could be like me. But no, it was him. He has always been the person to go against the status quo. He is always the person to say, I'm not doing that. Like that, what? That's dumb. Why do people do that? And I was the one, I was very risk adverse, very cautious. My view of life was I'm going to climb the corporate ladder and become a hospital president, and I'm going to retire doing that. And there was a point in time, like I said, the pandemic, I got to work from home, and I would see how he approached work compared to me. Like I'm at the computer all day, I'm working, but he had a lot more flexibility in his day. He was able to just enjoy life so much more than I did. And he used to tell me, he's like, Valencia, just start a business. I'm like, but I don't know what to start. I was so stuck and not knowing. And he was just like, okay, well, continue to work like you are and live the life like you are. We're not going to ever go on vacations. We're not going to ever do anything. And he just really opened my eyes to realize that there's so much more to life. And he really pushed me into full on entrepreneurship. Like, you can do this.
That's great. That's awesome. We have a ton of people watching live right now. So thank you so much for
Awesome.
being here.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah,
Hey.
and for hanging out with us. Thank you. If you are watching us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can send you some love. So I know you help coaches. I know you help them with their strategies. You help them with their systems to simplify it for them or with them. For those that are watching, for those that are really resonating with all the goodness that you're sharing, who specifically should be reaching out to you? Who do you help?
Yeah. So for me, it is coaches that have been in business for 1 to 5 years. So you're in that phase of you are ready to just take your coaching business to the next level. You want to get really clear on your niche if you're not already. You want to create an irresistible coaching offer where your potential clients are like, please sign me up today. I'm ready for this offer. Having a system that brings in leads and clients back to back, like predictably. So I teach all the things marketing and sales, all about the client experience, making sure that's amazing. So making sure that you're tightening up and creating an amazing experience. So you have raving clients and raving fans. And then I also, because I love financial freedom so much, I cannot not teach my clients about financial freedom. So I tell people I can help you make the money, but I also help you make the money work for you. And so those are my people. And there's a lot of people that come to me who want to get into coaching. You can still reach out. I like to learn more about the person. And if I feel like it's a good fit, we vibe well, and I feel like you're going to be dedicated to the process, then I'm open to working with them as well. But just know it's work. It's a process. It's work. I never like to sell it to people and say it's going to be so easy because I am the queen of simple. But there's things that you have to put in place to get to the point of full simplicity and it being easy. And so that part is a process.
Absolutely. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, so savvy-method.com. It's savvy-method.com. My space and place on this in this internet world is LinkedIn. So you can actually find me on LinkedIn at Valencia Bennett. You can put me in the search bar. And I post Monday through Friday there, giving all of the goods on how to create a thriving coaching business. And that is pretty much where you can find me. So those two places, I try to make it easy and simple.
Yes. And why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because when I learn that coaching is giving people access to live better lives, I wanted to spread the message. I wanted to spread this opportunity for people to really create the lives that they want. And you can work with a business coach, you can work with a mindset coach, you can work with a financial coach, you can work with any type of coach where you are in your life. If there's an area that needs improving, there's a coach that you can tap into to help you. And I thought that was just amazing. That's insane to me that you can literally have a problem and there's someone waiting to help you fix it.
Coaching is great.
It's pretty awesome. Like I'm looking at it and I'm like definitely a coaching advocate here. I'm looking at the future of coaching and it's so bright, but I also want to uphold the integrity of the industry too, right? Because there are, there's some bad apples that spoil the bunch. And I just want to make sure that the people that I'm working with are going against that and they're creating these dynamic transformations in people's lives. And it really keeps and uphold the integrity of the coaching industry versus people being afraid to invest in themselves because they feel like they're going to get scammed. Like I don't want people to feel that way. I want them to know that working, and hope I get to the point of like, hey, if a coach work with Valencia, you can invest in them. That's how much I want to have an impact in this coaching industry. So people know that I've helped create dynamic coaches. And I love unique coaches too, who are not afraid to stand out and not be the standard coach. Like I want you to come in. I tell people, someone asked me this amazing question. And they said, if you were in a room with 100 ideal clients or 100 coaches and you could only work with 5, who would you choose out of that group? I was like, oh, that's such a good question. I was like, I want to look for the astronaut coach. Like I want to look for the coach who is truly okay with just living and being themselves, and really having that skill that a lot of people don't have that they want to teach. So yeah, the astronaut coach, the real estate coach, the financial coach, I don't know, help you live a better life coach, any type of coaches that are really ready to stand out.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for everything. This was amazing information that you gave to us and definitely a different way of looking at things. I really appreciated the visual you gave us of when you were standing in your living room, realizing that we could monetize everything. So powerful and definitely something that I don't think a lot of people think of, and listening to that, they can look around, they could be like, no kidding. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, you have Etsy. Etsy was a part of starting that, right? It's like if you do arts and craft, you can put it online and sell it.
Yeah.
You can truly everything. Just
Yeah.
look around where you are right now. If you got a blanket in your office, they made that blanket. People are getting paid for sending you a blanket. Everything.
Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you so much for being here, Valencia. We so appreciate it. For those watching live, if you resonated with Valencia and all of the goodness that she shared today, make sure you connect with her. Her website is savvy-method.com. It is in a clickable link in the description wherever you are watching us at. As far as social media, she predominantly hangs out on LinkedIn and she goes live quite a bit, it sounds like. So make sure that you catch her and learn some more goodness from her. We love to connect people on this platform in order to make sure we all continue to rise. Any closing thoughts, Valencia, as we wrap up?
The last few things is one, I also have a group called the Virtual Workplace for Entrepreneurs. So that is also on LinkedIn. So we do have those live audio events where entrepreneurs, we just talk about all things entrepreneurship. So that's a really cool space and place to hang out. And then the next thing is just letting people know this is your life. You can make it whatever you want it to. I remember people they think they have to be defined by their past or defined by what people tell them. And no, you are in full control. Don't allow anyone to tell you what you can or cannot do. You can do whatever it is that you want and that you put your mind to. I'm a living example of it. And I'm sure you're inspired by Sabrina and her story. And I know there's other people around you that you can take inspiration from. So just know that your past does not define who you are today. Be whoever you want to be in a good way, of course.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Valencia. We so appreciate it. That brings us to an end of another incredible episode of Her Talk Show. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our amazing guest speaker, Valincia Bennett, for sharing her wisdom and inspiring us all. To each and every one of you, our dedicated listeners, thank you for staying with us until the very end. Your support and engagement means the world to us. Remember to follow, like, and share. Join me again next episode for more captivating stories, enlightening thoughts, and empowering ideas to fuel your journey toward becoming the best version of ourselves. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue these transformative conversations and uplift each other every step of the way. Until next time, do something awesome today.